Hello everybody, Maven here, and today we're reviewing another piece of trash exotic. Or so I thought. The Wishful Ignorance is one of those exotics that everybody seemed to have forgotten about. It came out several months ago with the release of the final shape, but the problem was that it was a Strand-based exotic when we were all clearly having fun with the new Prismatic Subclass at the time. So the Wishful Ignorance got zero attention whatsoever. Nobody cared, and nobody does to this day. I remember first looking at this thing and being like, it's neat, but it's nothing special. And then fast forward to several months later, which was just a couple weeks ago, and I decided to break it out again just to test it out and see what it's about. And I was like, it's kind of cool, you know, like maybe I can make a fun niche build out of it, but I don't know if it's anything video worthy. But this weekend, I finally committed and made a build out of it and ran it through some Grandmaster Nightfalls, and I gotta say, it far exceeded my expectations. Now, obviously, it's not going to be on the same level of Prismatic Consecrate Titan, but as far as Strand goes, this is honestly one of the better Strand GM Titan builds I've played, and that's saying a lot since I used the main Strand Titan before Prismatic came out. So yeah, the Wishful Ignorance ain't as trash as I thought it was. So let's break down the build and let me show you what it can do. Hope you enjoy. Shout out to our sponsor, Advanced GG, the #1 gaming supplement in the world. Use code MAVEN at checkout for 10% off. Link down below. Thank you. So what the Wishful Ignorance does is it gives you a 4th melee charge for your Frenzied Blade, and additionally, whenever your Banner of War heals an ally, you get a little bump of melee energy for each ally healed. And you'll see that happen a lot throughout the background gameplay if you just watch my melee meter. Now, if you're just using this build for Frenzied Blade spam, what a waste of an exotic. I believe its true purpose is to spam the Fletched Storm aspect, one of, if not the least used aspect in the entire game. The combo of Banner of War and Into the Fray is such a strong combination for Strand Titan melee builds that that's usually the go-to. Otherwise, Dranger's Lash is the next most used thing because of Abeyant Leap builds, and Fletched Storm has been left in the dust. It's activated the same way Consecration is, by sliding and spamming your charged melee, and you start hurling these Strand projectiles that cost half a melee charge per throw. And with 4 melee charges, we can activate it a ton of times in a row to deal some pretty big damage. Testing it out at Carl here, it doesn't quite take him out, but it does like 80% to him, which is pretty solid because he's a pretty tanky dude. And to compare that against something, here is a rocket launcher, so you can just gauge how much damage Fletched Storm is doing in such a quick amount of time. The burst damage is actually really good on it, and it does about the same damage as 3.5 rockets, nearly 4 rockets. And with this build, it's meant to recharge all 4 of your melee charges in like 30 seconds or less. So having that amount of damage to spam every here and there is actually pretty dang good. But I feel like something is up with the damage against Carl. I feel like it should be doing more, because Grandmaster champions are about as tanky as Carl, yet Fletched Storm was obliterating them. Like you might have seen in the background gameplay. If you stun a champion, then Fletched Storm them right after, it just shreds through them like a hot knife through butter. I was actually really surprised. So I feel like the damage scaling is different versus champions. I don't quite know what's going on there. All I know is that it's great against them, and it's also great at Ad Clear because it unravels everything it hits. And that unravel is also getting our Horde Shuttle artifact mod online, so we start making threadlings for free basically, even though we're not even using a Strand weapon. We're actually using the Monte Carlo, the weapon that feeds you melee energy as you damage things with it, and sometimes it'll even give you an entire melee charge for scoring final blows, depending on the enemy tier. Now, yes, there are more close range, aggressive weapons that can probably charge your melee quicker, but the Monte Carlo is perfect for this build's playstyle, because typically a Strand Titan is just flying in and punching everything close range. But remember that the Wishful Ignorance's second ability says that healing allies with Banner of War grants you melee energy. So the point of this build is to play back with your teammates, chill back with the Warlock in their Rift, chill back with the Titan behind their Storm's Keep barricade, and while your allies are within a super generous 20-meter radius of you, they will get healed by those Banner of War stacks, and if they score kills while in your Banner of War radius, it will contribute to your Banner of War stacks, so you can try to get to ×4, so that Banner of War will pulse faster and give you more melee energy. And the combination of chilling with your allies and pelting stuff with the Monte Carlo makes your melees come back very fast. And when they do, you get a free massive Fletched Storm volley to throw out and just rinse and repeat. So the gameplay loop is to start an encounter by getting Banner of War online, and to do that you need to get a melee kill, and that's why we're running grapple. Find the nearest red bar and just grapple punch them in the face, then proceed to chill back with your teammates and start the loop of Fletched Storm, Monte Carlo spam, Fletched Storm, Monte Carlo spam, and just repeat. I was actually pretty impressed with it, and like I said, I mained Strand Titan before Prismatic came out, and I've used it quite a bit in GMs with things like Synthoceps, Worm God Caress, and Severance Enclosure, but I honestly feel that this build has the chance to be one of the best builds for this level of content on Strand. I'm not even exaggerating for content. It's actually pretty sweet, not gonna lie. It far exceeded my expectations. Now, before we break down the build, I just wanted to address one quick thing that some people might want to comment about, which is that the only time in history that anyone used Fletched Storm at all was with that super niche ACDO feedback fence build. Essentially, you ran triple melee kickstarts, triple charged up, and stacks on stacks, and scoring powered melee hits with the feedback fence on will grant you armor charge. And it's a lot to explain, but the TLDR is that with this combo, you had an infinite Fletched Storm as long as you keep hitting something with it. You could spam it literally forever. But for those lovely commenters, just an FYI, that combo does not work anymore. It hasn't worked for a very long time. After Bungie nerfed the way Kickstarter mods worked, it pretty much neutered that combo. Therefore, the Wishful Ignorance with Monte Carlo is the new way to spam Fletched Storm. So with that tangent out of the way, let's break down the build. So we already went over our aspects, and for our fragments we got Isolation to sever things with our Monte Carlo, which is pretty good with the 2 Shreds artifact mod because dealing sustained damage to severed targets unravels them, and then that will then get Horde Shuttle online so we can make threadlings. So essentially the Monte Carlo becomes a Strand weapon even though it's kinetic. So it's a very nice chain of events there with Thread of Isolation. Next, we have Ascent to reload our weapons for free when we grapple, then Generation to get some free grapple energy, and finally Fury, which grants us a chunk of melee energy whenever we throw our Tangle at stuff. You're going to want to try to do that as much as possible for obvious reasons. And onto our mod setup, we got the holy trinity of grapple spam mods on our gloves. If you want to spam grapple, these are the 3 mods to run: Grenade Kickstart, Heavy-Handed, and Impact Induction. Now, Heavy-Handed and Impact Induction typically only work with powered melees, but luckily the grapple itself also counts as a powered melee despite using your grenade charge, so it kind of cheats the system a bit. Further adding to our grapple spam, we got charged up and stacks on stacks to make our armor charge more efficient for our Kickstart mod. And to help make more orbs for our armor charge, we got Reaper and Kinetic Siphon. And for the rest of our mods from top down, we got Double Hands On, a couple interchangeable resists on the chest, some orb ability regen mods on the boots and Absolution and Invigoration, and then Powerful Attraction and Outreach on the class item. And for our stats, I opted for double hundreds in Resilience and Strength and dumped the rest into Discipline. And for our loadout, Monte Carlo is the only thing that really matters, but since I was using this for GMs, I got the Aberrant Action for anti-barrier sidearm, but you can use a sniper if you want. This is like my main weapon whenever I play on Strand Titan because it has enhanced Pugilist and Demolitionist, which are great for our Frenzied Blade and grapple spam, obviously. And then in the heavy slot, you can run a rocket launcher if you need to deal with unstoppables, or a machine gun if you need to deal with overloads. And that about does it for the build. Now, I'm not going to cope and tell you that this is the best Titan build because it's not. It's late in the episode, and we're going to be here a couple more months before new content drops. So this is the experimental part of the season where we Destiny players like to try things for fun. So if you're a Titan main and you're bored of Storm's Keep and Consecrate spam and you want to try something different just for fun, then maybe give this a try. I'm sure you'll have some fun with it. And if you have any Titan friends that might be on the same boat, I'd appreciate if you consider sharing this video with them. Perhaps they might want to try it out as well. And as always, the dim loadout link to the build is down below in the description, and also the pinned comment if you'd like to give it a try. And that about does it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button as it helps out a ton. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Would love to have you here for more content on the way. And remember to check out our sponsor, Advanced GG. Use code MAVEN at checkout for 10% off. Link down below. And I will catch you in the next video. See you later.